For nearly 20 years, graphene has lived in a strange limbo. Since its isolation in 2004 at the University of Manchester, this single atom-thick layer of carbon promised phones that charge in seconds, buildings with half the carbon footprint, and medical sensors capable of detecting disease long before symptoms appear. Headlines called it a miracle material. Investors called it the future. So why, 2 decades later, does most of the world still associate graphene with broken promises rather than real products? In advanced electronics, many ultra-sensitive measurements rely on the quantum Hall effect, a phenomenon that allows electrons to move in precise, predictable patterns. Traditionally, achieving this level of accuracy meant cooling materials to near absolute zero, liquid helium, massive energy costs, complex infrastructure. That requirement alone has kept quantum-grade sensing locked inside laboratories. Paragraph, a British company, quietly changed that assumption. It became the first firm to mass-produce graphene-based electronics, specifically graphene field effect transistors, or GFETs. The breakthrough wasn't incremental, it was practical. Why graphene? Because graphene behaves differently from silicon at a fundamental level. At just 1 atom thick, every atom is exposed. There is no bulk material to dampen electrical signals. Even a single molecule interacting with the surface can alter conductivity in a measurable way. But sensitivity alone isn't enough. Can it be stable? Can it be repeatable? Can it work outside a lab? Graphene answers all three. It is chemically robust, mechanically strong, and, most importantly, it can exhibit quantum Hall behavior at room temperature. No cryogenic cooling, no exotic infrastructure, just precision, delivered efficiently. Today, Paragraph isn't selling promises, it's shipping sensors. Potassium ion sensors for healthcare diagnostics, heavy metal detection for agricultural wastewater, gas sensors for hydrogen systems. Why are artificial intelligence data centers overheating, even as chips become more efficient? Because electrons generate heat, and silicon-based computing still depends on pushing electrons through ever smaller pathways. As artificial intelligence models grow larger, power density explodes, and cooling becomes a bottleneck almost as expensive as computation itself. What if the problem isn't software? What if it's electrons? That's where 2D Photonics, through its Cambridge spin-off, CAM Graphic, enters the story. They are developing graphene-enhanced optical microchips that process data using light instead of electrical current. Photons don't experience resistance. They don't generate heat the way electrons do. Optical computing isn't new, but integrating it efficiently with existing electronics has always been the hard part. This is where graphene shines. It interacts exceptionally well with light across a broad spectrum, switches states at astonishing speeds, and dissipates heat better than almost any known material. In optical modulators and photodetectors, graphene removes long-standing performance ceilings. Competitors like Black Semiconductor claim graphene photonic chips can reach data rates of 10 petabits per second, numbers so large they feel abstract. But even if real-world performance lands far below that, the energy implications are impossible to ignore. Cooling can consume a massive share of a data center's electricity and water. If graphene-enhanced photonics can reduce cooling demand by up to 80%, what does that mean for artificial intelligence economics, for grid stability, for sustainability? 2D Photonics is now building a pilot manufacturing facility near Milan to produce 200mm graphene-enhanced wafers at costs competitive with silicon. With backing from Sony, Italy's National Investment Fund, and North Atlantic Treaty Organization's Innovation Fund. This isn't academic curiosity, it's industrial intent. What if charging speed mattered more than energy density? Batteries dominate energy storage because they pack a lot of energy into small volumes. But they degrade, charge slowly, and hate rapid cycling. Capacitors are the opposite. Fast, durable, but weak. Skeleton Technologies decided to stop choosing. Their answer is graphene-based supercapacitors built around a patented structure called curved graphene. Instead of lying flat, the graphene sheets are crumpled into wave-like forms. Imagine microscopic potato chips. This prevents stacking, increases surface area, and dramatically improves charge storage. The result? Devices capable of surviving up to 1 million charge cycles. That matters for grid stabilization, regenerative braking, renewable buffering, and data center backup power. In November 2025, Skeleton opened its super battery factory in Finland, targeting exactly those large-scale applications. Then they went further. Skeleton announced graphene-enhanced graphics processing units, claiming energy reductions of up to 45% and performance gains of around 40% for artificial intelligence workloads. Are those numbers aggressive? Absolutely. Independent verification is still needed. But here's the real question with artificial intelligence, energy demand growing exponentially. Can incremental efficiency gains really keep up? Graphene may not be a silver bullet, but ignoring it could be far more dangerous than betting on it. What if the most impactful use of graphene isn't high-tech at all? Cement production alone accounts for roughly 7% of global carbon dioxide emissions. Most of that comes from calcination, burning limestone at extreme temperatures, releasing carbon dioxide as a chemical byproduct. The University of Manchester, where graphene was first isolated, is now using it to attack this problem head-on. Their graphene-enhanced concrete, known as concrete-ene, strengthens non-calcined cement mixtures enough to bypass the most carbon-intensive steps of production. The benefits compound. Stronger concrete means less material. Less material means lower emissions. Field trials in Northumbria showed nearly 49% lower carbon dioxide emissions per cubic meter compared to conventional concrete. This isn't futuristic architecture. It's sidewalks, wastewater facilities, and industrial foundations. So ask yourself if graphene quietly reduces emissions in infrastructure that lasts half a century. Does it need to be flashy to matter? If graphene works, why did it take so long? Because manufacturing graphene is brutally hard. You can produce high-quality graphene with methods like chemical vapor deposition, but it's expensive, energy-intensive, and fragile. You can scale production cheaply through chemical reduction, but you damage the atomic structure that makes graphene special. Mechanical exfoliation yields perfection, but only in milligram quantities. High quality, low cost, high volume. For years, you could only pick two: